Welcome to Business Mentorship Keeping It Real, where we feature entrepreneurs and enterprise leaders who share their great ideas in our guest blog, found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest is Angela Santi, who is a business coach, consultant, and mentor. With 30 years of experience in business, she's introducing her clients to a new leadership model. We're going to discuss how empowering clients to thrive leads to becoming great leaders when introducing the Dolce Vita. And Angela joins us from Milan, Italy. Welcome.
Ciao, buongiorno, happy.
Yes, how fantastic to have you. Yes, how wonderful to have you. You know, one of the things that we do when we start I do the marketing for the podcast is we ask folks to send in questions if they have any questions. And you know what? We had quite a few questions from folks asking us if you would please explain the Dolce Vita. So maybe you can start by giving us an idea of that wonderful Italian expression and what it means.
All right. So the Dolce Vita means the sweet life. But really, this literary translation, doesn't do justice to the term, because La Dolce Vita is a way of living, is a mood, is a way of thinking, is a total philosophy of life that we Italian apply to every single aspect of our lives. What it means to be super committed, to work hard and to play hard, to be committed and yet light-hearted, to never postpone pleasure. Maybe you are working, but your friends and family are calling. Yeah, there is the sun outside. Let's go out and do something together. And you do it, and you don't wait until Friday, until the weekend. Every day is Friday. Every day is the weekend for us. And what I would love to say, because we were talking about the post-war Italy before, connecting to this wonderful conversation, and the Dolce Vita as a concept was born precisely after the Second World War.
Really?
Yes. When Italy was completely destroyed. I was watching a documentary the other night, and they were saying like 80% of the houses were destroyed. 20%, only 20% of businesses were surviving. There was nothing there. So the Italians, who are really hard workers, despite the image of spaghetti and mandolino and everything, we are also very hard workers, but we know how to enjoy life. So they were working hard to rebuild the country. They were becoming a little bit richer, so they could afford like appliances and a car for going out for the weekends, and then let's say a washing machine and a dishwasher machine. So they had more free time, and they started to really enjoy life for everyone at every level of society. So this was called the Dolce Vita, and the name is the title of a movie by Federico Fellini, which is the detrimental part, the more morbid side, the excess of the Dolce Vita. But the movie, which I really suggest to watch in order to have a flair of La Dolce Vita, is Roman Holidays with Audrey Hepburn, and you remember?
Yes.
And Gregory Peck.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want them?
Absolutely. And you know what I love? I love that it's a lifestyle and it's an attitude, because, you know, when out of great difficulty comes opportunity, right?
Yes.
And in order for us to be able to move through life with ease, we need to adapt to a certain lifestyle and change maybe the way that we think. So I love that you have this wonderful acronym that you use in your business and your consulting practice. Now, when I was reading your story, I noticed that you came from a family of, you've mentioned very hard workers, but in a totally different kind of industry. So give us some indication as to what your 30 years business background is in.
Okay, so my family is a family of multi-generation entrepreneurs. So my grandfather started in real estate. He was building, well, actually not real estate. He was building infrastructures streets and bridges, etc. When he died, my father and his brother took on the company, but they changed the focus in real estate.
Ah.
Then, but it's not finished, because then by chance, a client of my father didn't have the money to pay for a house, and he said, well, you can pay in different ways. My father was really creative, and his guy said, well, you know what, I have a dealership of Mercedes-Benz. And he said, well, why not? So he paid him with the company shares,
Wow.
and we started our business in the car. So this company was very small. We had just 50 employees. And when I have a literature, a humanistic background, by the way, who
Yes.
is, has nothing to do with this word.
Yeah.
So when I finished the university, I was like, what shall I do? And I went working in this company. The company had 50 employees. In a few years, we had an exponential growth, organic and also merger and acquisitions. And by 2008 or 8, we had like almost 600 employees, 25
Wow.
subsidiaries. We were one of the top 10 Italian dealers for. We had Mercedes, but then we acquired Ferrari, Maserati, Smart, Range Rover, Land Rover, and this is La Dolce
Wow.
Vita in the in it's this is La Dolce Vita actually,
Yeah,
and we
for
had
sure.
a great like lifestyle, etc. in this industry. Yeah.
That is absolutely fantastic. Now, how did
Yes.
you feel as the young female entrepreneur in that business? Because that must have been a bit of a challenge.
Yes, it was definitely challenging. First off, because I was thrown into the business. So in Italy, we don't have a culture of mentors, coaches, etc. So now I tell you, I am a mentor. I want to mentor because this is something that I
Didn't
really need.
have.
Yeah, I didn't have it, and I can recognize the importance. So I was thrown there. I didn't have a background like in economics, etc. Just like English and American literature, linguistics, and all that. So my parents said, oh well, you know what, you can work in the quality,
Like quality control. Yeah.
yeah, quality control, because you write very good Italian, so you can write all the procedures and the processes. And it was that proved very interesting because I had an overview of all the processes. Then
Ah,
inside the business, since I'm an empath and I really care for the people that work with me, I created the HR department and the organizational development department. And actually, like, if I see it in retrospective, I was more a change manager than
yes.
anything else, but I didn't know it.
Yes.
So the challenge was not knowing about the business. So imposter syndrome, I never had imposter syndrome before that, but then imposter syndrome was at the end of at the order of the day, because no
Sure.
one was really giving me feedback, etc. And masculine, like a male dominated business, that
Mhm.
boy club, my role models for leadership were men,
Yes.
no, or women with in a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was very hard because I was betraying my nature in a way. I was bossy and controlling, and like this
Trying
bad,
to lead like a man, right?
like a man. Yeah. So, and I really wasn't happy about that. I mean, everything was great on the outside, but inside,
Yeah.
there was something
Uncomfortable.
very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
So,
so how did you integrate the Dolce Vita into your business? Because I love when you mention, some of your clients are, in a position where they're facing corporate burnout, or like you have just mentioned, they don't feel good on the inside. Everything looks wonderful on the outside, but they don't feel true to their self on the inside, and they're struggling with, how do I connect all the dots so that I can contribute to my work? I can be true to myself. How did you introduce this wonderful phenomenon into your consulting practice?
So I introduced it precisely in the consulting practice, not
Yeah.
when I was in
Right.
corporate. And I tell
Right.
you why. When I was in corporate, I was betraying this Dolce Vita. I mean, again, Dolce, but I was also burning the candle on both ends
Mhm.
because I am this type A
Mhm.
go-getter. I want to get it right. I'm, first in class, etc. So I'm pushing, pushing, pushing all the time, which is something that is not in my nature, by the way. I mean, yes, in business, yes, but
Yes.
I also want to,
Have
like
fun.
have fun, have my prosecco. Now it's Friday. When we get off the call, I go for a prosecco, of course, because
It's
aperitivo is
Friday.
Friday, exactly. So when the company the company closed and I started my practice, I also had some like health problems, some health issues, a number of things that I solved by changing lifestyle and getting back, like a pushback,
Yeah.
and decided to,
Relax.
yes, relax, prioritize myself, um, do more space for things that I love. For instance,
Mhm.
I practice yoga since 30 years. And when I was in my company business, I was like sneaking out the back door, hoping that no
No
one would
one would know.
no, no, because I was going for a yoga at lunch break, which was totally normal, but I was feeling, guilty and,
Yeah.
I'm not a good boss, etc. So then I said, you know what? Who cares? I prioritize myself, and this was one of the things. Then, well, the Dolce Vita actually as a brand was something that I developed with the help of my brand and marketing, code, because it was like, oh yes, I have these four pillars that are vitality, illumination, techniques, and assets. And then that person said, wow, this is Vita. And I was like, yes, this is the Dolce Vita. So we define this acronym in a better way. So, but it's something that I've always incorporated into my business when I was as a consulting business,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I believe that when these four dimensions are aligned and in balance, you can really have a good life, have a fantastic way of life. And this is not the outcome of your success. This is a
Part of
foundation
it.
of your success. Because if you are not energized, you don't pursue your goals. If you are not inspired, no way. But you have to know the techniques and the system to implement all that and recognize that you are your most important asset. So this is in a nutshell.
You know what I love? I love your concept because it's the foundation for really living your lifestyle. And I think perhaps you can let me know if the processes that you learned in the corporate job have actually given you a great foundation for teaching other people the processes of Dolce Vita, because everything in life has a rhythm,
Yeah,
right? And we need to learn how to manage the rhythm,
exactly.
right? So that we can be successful. And I love that the Dolce Vita is principles and foundational elements that you can use to build and create a life that's not just about business success, but about enjoyment,
Yes. And this
right?
is life success.
Yeah.
And you know what? This also incorporate the opposites. So it's work and play. It's in Latin we have this expression that are otium and negotium. Otium is not doing, and negotium was like doing.
Doing.
So
Mhm.
you have to
Balance.
alternate.
Yeah.
And this is also how I play with, the hard things, the processes, and, so stay focused and committed and don't waste time. So you have more time for the Dolce Vita.
Yeah, for the enjoyment, right?
Yes.
So, share with our viewing and listening audience, what does Angela do as a hobby? Because I love that you're driven. I love that you're type A. I love that you're creative. You know, you've been able to manage all of these different elements into your new success strategy and leadership role. But what do you do for fun? What does Angela do as a hobby? Because we all need something outside of the business, right? In order to help us with that balance. So what do you do besides the yoga?
So besides the yoga, which is my daily routine, morning and evening, I love to go out and to connect with friends. I am member in many organizations. I am so appreciative of nature. I am so lucky that I live by the hills. So I often go for hikes. I go outside. And what I've discovered over the years is that since what I do is very much in the head. Well, it's also,
In
it
the
has to
heart.
do with connecting
Yeah.
with people in the heart, but it's,
Yeah.
like creating new things all the time. It's
Yeah.
very intellectual. When I'm not working, I like to do things with my hands. So like I like to go dancing. I dance the tango, Argentine tango. I sing, I'm taking lessons of blues and jazz. So I'm using my body in different way. As generally I want to stay out of the house because my office is inside the
Right.
house.
Right.
So I'm in
Yeah.
lockdown all the time if I don't
Yes.
go out.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I absolutely love the energy and the spirit that you bring, Angela. And I also love the fact that it sounds to me like you actually walk the walk and talk the talk. You're actually living a life of Dolce Vita. And, you've experienced the struggles of, things in corporate where it didn't serve you well. And you were be able to create this new dynamic where you can really enjoy life. And I think that's a really important thing to share with your clients because we need to look to mentors who we know are done the same things that we want to do, right? They're
Right.
successful in making the change.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that we do in the guest blog is we ask folks to share 3 words of advice. And I would love for you to share with our viewing and listening audience. Your words are fun, freedom, and focus. And why are those words important to you?
Fun. If you don't have fun in your life, what is life for? So I always bring fun into my days. And when something isn't naturally, enjoyable and pleasant, I make it pleasant.
Good for
This
you.
is an intentional thing that I do, or I try to find the pleasant side. So this is super important. Freedom is my number one value. I'm a rebel inside. You don't say that from seeing this lady here, but I'm a very much rebel, and it's very difficult for me to follow the rules that somebody else has set. And I've always learned over the years that this is the freedom to be myself no matter what. Just go for it, be respectful of other people, but like put boundaries. And I want everyone to respect who I am, my time, my things, and I want to do things that I love and be free to do whatever
choose.
I want, whatever I choose. This is super important. And focus, because if you're just having fun and trying to be free, you're getting nowhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you also need focus and intentional action to pursue your goal in a fun way, with the freedom of changing the route whenever the route is not taking you where you want to go, or changing probably some mid goals.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It sounds so fantastic. And I absolutely love that you've been able to share with our audience and you've given us a really good feeling and inspiration for the Dolce Vita. And I know that there'll be lots of people who will sit back and say, this all makes sense, right? This really does make sense. So thank you so much for joining me, because I think it's been a really wonderful experience for all of us to be able to learn a little bit more about the Dolce Vita.
Thank you very much. For my pleasure and honor. And I wait for you all in Italia.
Yes, exactly. To those who have joined us today, I'd like to thank you for tuning into this edition of Keeping It Real, where we introduced you to the person behind the logo. If you'd like to connect with our guest, you'll find her contact information in the description portion below. I'm Trish Tonine, founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online. Thanks again, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.